My name is Letizia Bocchi. I am in charge of the R&D lab in Medica SPA, and I am the coordinator of Graphene Spirit project. I'm going to talk about hollow fibers and graphene as a possible win-win meeting for water treatment. Let's start with a survey about European Commission on the use of tap water among Europeans. From this survey that has been done in 2015, we can understand that only 55% of Europeans use tap water for drinking, and 10% use tap water for drinking, but after some kind of hydration. This means that a large part of Europeans does not feel safe about the use of tap water for drinking, or think that tap water has a bad taste, or have some problems in water accessibility. The average consumption in Europe of tap water per person is about 120 liters per day. But we can say that in many countries, drinking tap water is not so common. Instead, it's much more common to drink bottled water. This has a huge economic and environmental impact. The average person in Europe consumes up to 106 liters of bottled water per year, which is a very big amount. If we consider, of course, the cost of bottled water with respect to tap water, there is a very huge gap. So, if the European Union can improve the access to a better quality water, it is estimated that it can reduce the consumption of bottled water by 17%, leading to a saving of about 600 million euro per year in Europe. And this can lead also to a big benefit to the environment, because plastic waste can be cut. In Europe, the quality of water is pretty high, but as well as in all other world countries, many factors contribute to the release of chemical contaminants into the water every day. Among these contaminants, there is a class of contaminants that is generically called emerging concern contaminant, because no current technology is able to remove them efficiently. Inside this group of compounds, we found drugs, antibiotics, pesticides, heavy metals, and more recently, we hear more often the presence of perfluorinated compound as cases of contamination. For example, in Veneto region in Italy, it has been reported recently the contamination from these classes of compound called PFC or PFAS. In order to increase the consumer confidence in tap water also for drinking, and to try to improve water quality, the European Union is changing the Drinking Water Directive, which was pretty old, and it's the aim of these changes to increase water safety, to monitor water quality, and to increase accessibility to water for all Europeans. This recast is introducing a new revised parameter, and it is introducing also a watch list surveillance program for many compounds. Of course, this change represents a market pull toward the development of new technologies for the removal of emerging contaminants. So this is the framework in which a graphene project was conceived, so in order to increase the consumer confidence and the use of tap water for drinking. We thought about the development of graphene-enhanced filter for water purification. In brief, this slide represents the goal of graphene project. we would like to create a multivalent filter in which graphene oxide is embedded into a hollow fiber's core, because we want to combine properties of graphene oxide and properties of hollow fibers for water purification. This graphene filter can be directly mounted onto a household sink, in point-of-use device, as well as in portable water purifier device. We thought about point-of-use and portable water purifier market because of their high sales volume, small scale, and rapid replacement of parts, allowing the rapid implementation of new technologies. Graphene oxide is already used in water treatment, and it can be extremely important because of its exceptional properties that you all know very well. Its high surface area that allow interaction with many different types of molecules, its surface chemistry that allow a selective tuning of absorption toward many molecules, its high processability. About sustainability and toxicity, we need to say honestly that it should be further investigated. Also, hollow fibers is already widely used for water treatment, and because it has hollow fiber filter have a high surface area. Hollow fiber looks like this. They have a very high density of pores per surface unit. They act as a physical sieve, and they are particularly efficient in removing microbiological contaminants like bacterial, viruses from water. They can be assembled in different configurations, allowing dead-end filtration as well as tangential flow filtration. They are mainly used for ultrafiltration and microfiltration application. We started to work on graphene with two different approaches for creating a geo-hollow fiber composite. The first one is to act directly during the phase inversion process, during which hollow fibers are formed. Practically and briefly, we put graphene oxide together with a solvent and polymer, that in this case is polysulfone or polyether sulfone. These compounds are mixed together to create the casting solution. This casting solution, together with bore liquid, is fed to a spinning nozzle, and when this solution meet, they form the hollow fiber by phase inversion. These are some pictures of how this hollow fiber looks like. They have graphene oxide inside, and they look gray. The other approach has been developed by CNR, so the National Research Council of Italy. It's a core shell approach for creating a coating of polyether sulfone and polysulfone hollow fiber with a graphene oxide solution. This solution is filtered through the hollow fiber, and it is annealed thanks to a fixation step. This process is absolutely stable, as demonstrated by the filtration of hundreds of liters of water without the release of graphene oxide. This is an SEM image of how a polyether sulfone hollow fibers with an inner coating of chemically modified graphene oxide. This coating looks pretty homogeneous, and by XRD it has been demonstrated that it consists of 10 nanosheets of geo overlap. Finally, I would like to show some preliminary results. The experimental setup was done at CNR facility, and it has been used a mixture of three contaminants, ofloxacin, ciprofloxacin, and rhodanol B, to check the performance in terms of percent removal rate toward each of these contaminants by the geo hollow fiber composites. Here we are still at a lab scale on small prototypes, but we can see a trend showing a best performance where there is a higher percent of graphene oxide embedded into the fiber. With respect to the core shell geocomposite, the phase inversion composite are less efficient, probably due to the loss of graphene oxide during the phase inversion process, meaning that in the next future we needed to focus on maximizing the exposure of graphene oxide to the water flow and on the stabilization of this process. These results are encouraging, and we are going soon through a scalability test. So finally, I would like to thank all the partners that are contributing to the Graphene project, and I'm open to discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Letizia. It's a fascinating area. And one question that was asked by a journalist last week was, how does graphene compare to current solutions for water filtration, such as active carbon?
Sure, it's a good question and good point. Actually, activated carbon are mainly used for water treatment because they are less expensive and active toward many chemical compounds, but not toward all the emerging contaminants. For example, they are not effective in removing PFAS, perfluorinated compound, and some kind of drugs, including some antibiotics. And moreover, if we want to look at a domestic household use, activated carbon can be a substrate for bacterial growth. So in some countries, it's forbidden to use activated carbons as the last step of filtration before water for drinking.
And we've had a question from Mo Wassim. What scale of water can be purified through graphene? Well, how big are you envisaging this?
I think that the first application is for a small scale, so domestic use. Let's say that one filter can last, at least in our ideas, for several months. So we hope to change one filter per year or one filter every 6 months.
Can you just briefly, can we play with the chemical modifications so that graphene both detects contaminants and filters them?
Absolutely, yes. And in effect, the selectivity of graphene can be changed by chemical modification of graphene oxide. And so we can, let's say, address the chemical absorption mediated by graphene.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Letizia Bocchi, for joining us.